So those journeys in the sales and marketing are very well established. But what's not taken too much attention or focus is on customer journeys, right? How, when the customer has signed up and been a customer for almost a year, 2 years, okay, how do we monitor and improve their experience, get them to use the product more, and so on and on.
Hey, greetings, everybody. This is Across the Funnel. I'm your host, Adil. Yeah, I mean, been there for a long time. It's so hard for us to, bring unique stories, and that's why we're cutting down on some of the episodes, cutting it down to half. Like previously, we were doing like 6 episodes a week. Now we're gonna be doing 3 weeks, three episodes a week, and bringing some of the most influential and people that have the founders and specifically like father founders of these tech companies. From SF, from Austin, San Antonio is going to be big too, and New York City to bring on like these founders and their stories and how they're going about making decision making on the top line with this AI and all of that. So today we're going to be talking about purely the product marketing and how big of a challenge it is for a lot of B2B SaaS core subscription based products and multi-product companies as well. And this is that is why we brought today brother Fahad Aziz, who's co-founder and CEO of PuppyDog. Prior to this, he was a partially part of AI Fund as well, founded by Andrew and G. Everybody knows, at least in the Valley, who he is, and he's been actively investing into multiple startups, like 5 or 6 of them. Prior to that, he's been the technical co-founder of CareMerge that got acquired later 2022. A great 10 years journey. A lot of such a huge impact it made in the end when it comes to chronicle service management for for all senior citizens and a lot of other services. So we're going to be talking about all of his prior background, merged into how he's positioning PuppyDog and how he's helping product marketing teams win. Thank you very much, brother, for taking the time.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Love it. So now I know that starting off the bat, early 2010, 2011, starting a company, such as in healthcare vertical, it has been challenging on not just on the regulation side of things. Like there's so much of regulated industry and all. How did you come up with that idea, and how was that journey in a nutshell for 10 years? And then you got acquired, of course, and everybody knows like how CareMerge grew up, like expanded into, healthcare sector overall. So how was that experience? And then, starting the inception of PuppyDog?
Great. Well, the experience was incredible. But before we go into talk about one of the success stories, there was a lot of not so successful stories before that. So I started my career 23 years back. And from the very beginning, I always believed in building impactful startups. And in the first 10 years of my career, I tried to do many startups and made several fatal mistakes. And for that reason, none of them worked out. So the only thing that came out of those failures was a lot of learnings. And when we started CareMerge in 2011, one of the things we were very careful about is not to make any mistakes that we have made in the past. So we build on our learnings to create this company. So the first thing we did with CareMerge was that we wanted to understand the customer. We wanted to understand the challenges that they are having. And the best way to do that is that you walk in their shoes, you live in their places. So we wanted to build a technology to help seniors, to help people living in the communities. And for that reason, we spent over 3 months in those communities. We were shadowing the nurses, the family members. We were talking to a lot of residents. And that gave us the first direct access to the customer, the future customers, and understand the challenges. And with that, when you ask them what your problems are, on the surface, they will tell you something. But when you go deeper and ask them multiple times, only then you come down to the root cause, right? So we were able to figure out that some of the challenges that these communities are having These challenges are related because of lack of communication, right? All the friction is because people are not telling others what's happening, right? So now understanding that there's a root cause, we said, okay, let's resolve this, let's fix this with technology. So that's how CareMerge started. And the communities we spent time in, they also became more first paying customers. And then from there onwards, for next 10 years, we kept growing the business. And just a few months after COVID, we got an offer for acquisition and we went through the process and then it got acquired. So that's the story about CareMerge.
Interesting. Quick notice on this. Like, I know that validating your hypothesis, going into trenches with your ICPs is super critical. And with today, if you just tail it back from 2012 to now 2026, how do you see it different? Like someone building in healthcare, sort of a product as a service or service based product clouds platform. What should be the best first thing to be able to basically validate their ideas and all of those in this? Has anything changed? Is anything different? Is it this more noisy today, more regulated with this all of this AI and all this?
Yeah, so number one, it doesn't really matter if it's today or it was 10 years back. In order to validate the idea, you have to talk to a lot of customers and potential customers, because only then you will be able to assess whether this is a real problem, big enough problem to solve. And this is where a good founder stands out. That when he talks to a lot of people, he can look for the patterns in the feedback that he's getting, right? He's not looking at the surface conversation. He's actually seeing out of these 30 conversations, there was something very common between all of them, right? So that's what a good founder is able to do. He can pinpoint that, okay, I think the problem lies there, right? So that has not changed, right? And
Mhm.
everyone can tell you that, with AI, you can do all this research and so on. That's great, but at the end of the day, you have to talk to the customers, and you have to ask some real direct questions. Okay, for instance, you can say, "Hey, you're telling me about this problem. That's work great. Tell me, how big is this problem for you today? Are you willing to pay to solve this problem, and how much will you pay for it?" So some customers will tell you this is a really big problem. It keeps me up all night. But when it comes down to payment, they'll say, well, I don't have the budget, or I don't think I can get it approved, or I can only pay $500, right? So those are all data points that you need to make a decision whether this is a problem worth building solution for, right? So that has not changed. What has changed is the appetite from the investors. So in the past, they would give you more time to build a company, right? Months and years and all that. But today, the expectation is that you need to go to the market really fast. And whoever has this edge of distribution or go to market are the winners, right? And partly because if you have a problem and you have built a solution, right, it's very easy to replicate that. So your window to go to the market is very, very short now. If in the past it was 3 years or 4 years, now it's, I would say, 1 year.
Yeah, even less. A lot of these technology and capabilities of AI that you can build like across data and we talk about GTM tooling in our space. And I love the fact that you are still spotlighting on the way to get the upfront commitment. Because a lot of these ICPs, if I talk about myself, a lot of these my founder friends, they're going like bottom up. Like let's say if they're building for account management or sales, they're going after like account executives or CSMs, and every CSM tells them, hey, why not? They'll just use the product. Like they use it 2 months, but they're not decision makers, that they're not able to see it big enough or for themselves to go and advocate to their VPs to make a payment and upfront. And that like the window is pretty short. You're a small handful of people on the team. It's so hard to crack the distribution if you go bottom up too. We'll talk about it later. how it sits playing around at PuppyDog. But this is again one of the reasons, a lot of these high growth companies are focusing on top bottom, or even if they're focusing on let's say bottom up, they're just making some sort of a product led motion where they can pay a very small amount or lower tiered, which is one of the hardest job in a GTM tool because you're integrating with a little bunch of data and tokens and everything. So we'll talk about it later. So now talking about how like building next to Puppy Dog, I know that product marketing is the center of everything. Like you talk about distribution and sales. You could talk about cold calling and everything. That's fine, but when someone gets into the product, how product marketing does, especially the onboarding part, which the survey that we've written down, and not only for this episode, we had this being translated to other episodes too, is more than 35% of the customers, they actually churn in the first 2 weeks post kickoff, well before adoption. So there's some reports that I mean, this is not my survey, but some reports that I've read, like more than 60% actually quit in the first 3 months without adopting, lack of features, lack of stakeholder activation. There's so much, moving parts into the onboarding to adoption stage. So could you walk us through a little bit at how the customers are winning during this critical stage where more than 50% of the customers, they actually churn or indicate churn, and you can forecast it later before you even know it. That's why Hyperengage comes into play to help them forecast. But could you walk us through this entire journey? How did you navigate through this cycle while building PuppyDog and doing pilot initial phases?
Yeah, and you raise a good point. It's not just about churn, it's also about growth. So if you look at the enterprise customers, and they show their revenue growth, could like 50 to 80% come from existing customers. Right. How do you upsell? How do you cross-sell? That's also part of product marketing. Now, product marketing historically has never received the recognition that it deserved. Uh, I remember when we hired our first product marketer uh, 10 years back. Uh, I had a lot of questions about, what is this person going to do? Why do we need that? Why can't we just hire a marketer, right? And the reason was that there was not really established, how critical this role is. And companies that have grown with a lot of PLG movement, they have been proven that product marketer has been the reason or one of the factors that help them grow so fast. Now, today, it's very different. Uh, Companies are building products. They're building products really fast. Instead of releasing once 6 months, they're releasing every 4 months or maybe sooner, right? And in order to market that, you need people who are as capable as the product managers to do that. And that's where product marketer comes in. And their job is to keep up the pace of anything that's being built is also being released. And what released means is that the customers that you have knows about those features,
Absolutely.
right? So today, if you look at any SaaS subscription, you are paying a certain amount for licensing, but you don't even know all the capabilities that that SaaS platform has to offer. As a result, on average, you're using 30 to 40% of the capabilities, but paying for 100%. So the responsibility comes down to the product marketers to have the higher adoption, right? How to get from 30, 40% to 60, 70, 80%, because then you reduce the churn, increase the retention. And then there's also opportunity to upsell, cross-sell, increase licensing, and so on. So product marketer has become sort of a uh, most important role and department in the companies now. And for that reason, if you go and search for the jobs for product marketing, you will surprise there are thousands of opportunities on LinkedIn looking for people who had product background, who have marketing background, and specifically for the titles of product marketing.
Right. So now talking about like some of the burning pains that we've collected speaking to all these companies, and a lot of this funnel that we speak about and mostly we speak about is customer success, how they're able to make customers win, and this is more like communication, product usage, CRM activities. Any other like support tickets and all, but like you mentioned, being an underrated organization, this has not been the talk of the town, that how they're articulating and translating the product vision and features and everything into a marketing asset, into a story for customers. For example, like we're building a Signal thing. Like Signal can work for so many things, and the only thing that our customers know is, hey, you can build a Signal for onboarding. You can build up kick, playbooks. You get triggers on Slack and gets updated on CRM, and that's it. So no one on our team, quite honestly, is make an effort to translate it for 50 plus use cases and 50 plus stories that could have uh, echoed with more than 100,000 people, like CSMs, account managers, and they actually face it day to day. Like this is their everyday life. Like they're doing customer research, they have triggers for meetings, they have triggers for briefing. So how do you see this problem and the potential of product marketing in a SaaS model? And this is not just for existing features, some new features too.
Sure.
Articulating and translating the stories for multi-use cases and making it personable for the customers. And it is more in the customer education piece, like being a product marketing, how it turns into a customer education, which drives a lot of sales. This is the highest tier, I would say, the marketing, because education drives everything, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And that's the journey we started with PuppyDog. We believe that, the product marketing needs more AI capabilities to be able to generate this content that is engaging, that customers would love to watch and learn. Uh, but to your point, we soon realized that uh, the challenge is not just the content, it's the relevant content, right? To your point, the use cases. So if I am in a finance and I'm leadership role, and I want to know about the product, I have different reasons to learn about this product. I have different use cases. But if I am in a retail and I'm, let's say, an operator, and I'm looking at the same product, I want to know how I can use this product, right? So, and that becomes very challenging, that not only you have to define the different personas that you're selling into, but more than that, you also have to understand all these people and their attributes and their profile, their job, their background, what are they talking about on LinkedIn, what are they posting, and all this stuff. The more you know about these people, right, the more you can tailor the content, personalize the content, right? So now when they're looking at the video talking about their challenges in their industry, talking about other customers in the space who are using it to give them the comfort, now they're more leaning towards and say, okay, I think this is something I worth looking at, right? Similarly, in the world of onboarding, you don't want to, if you have new features and you're sending it out to everyone, that doesn't work really well because half of that customer may be using that feature, right? What really works is that if I get an email and talks about something, that's something that really relevant to me because I'm not using that feature. I'm using the other three features, but not this one. But if the same email goes to you, you get a very different email talks about a thing that you are not using, right? And this becomes sort of a build up. So you know that, okay, Adil is only using three of the six features. Let's keep telling him about the fourth feature. Once you start working on fourth, let's talk to him about fifth, give him an offer about the fifth, give him like 6 months free. So that's how you build up and go from Adil having using three features to using five features, right? So
Yeah.
that's the magic about AI and power marketing, and that's something that we've been offering to our customers with PuppyDog.
Love it. This is a great point. Like, a lot of these product marketing per se, what they think, like whether they should, like they're sitting in the middle, like whether they should go with the product team or with the marketing team. So I believe personally on just my intuition on based on some of the things that I've worked, get hands on with product managers is more on the product side, because marketing, of course, would sell itself if you build education that is
Sure.
centered towards the product. As to your example, if as a product marketing living closer to the product, not the marketing as much as the marketing, you have a deeper understanding on how customers perceive value differently. And this is my relatable for our product too. Like there are like whole bunch of different modules, but we got to know exactly like how customers are perceiving values differently. There could be whole set of different power features for different customers. So,
Correct.
and this is super important. And this where like Puppy platform like PuppyDog, of course, we already signed. Like my other co-founder already signed up here long back when he started, but we were small enough back then, and now we're going to use it for this sole reason, like how this gets translated based on how customers are perceiving value or their business outcomes
Sure.
out of those feature or product related stories. So, what is your experience like? If we just talk about post sales at PuppyDog, thinking about only the onboarding segment, which I already mentioned that it's more than like 50% of the people that churn. And of course, onboarding takes like in the mid-market enterprise, it's up to 3 months and it goes in phases. And but of course, you can definitely track success, measure success, or derive success during those stages too. I still believe that this is something that a lot of people doubt that even in the enterprise segment,
Yeah.
you can still have a threshold of 1 month to measure that progress or success around the onboarding, if even that is big enough, for an enterprise, like in terms of time and window. So how do you see it in the mid-market? How do you apply all of this strategy? Given your background, this incredible product, how's that post-sale going?
Yeah. So, the use cases vary from the size of the company for sure, right? If you're talking about SMBs and startups, uh, their key challenge is to get as soon as the customer signs up, how to get them to get to see the value of the product in less than 5 minutes, right? And offer them the self-serve experience so they can see the value. So that's more of a use case for SMBs. Now, mid-market and enterprise customers, very different use case. They have thousands of customers, right? All they want to do is that they want them to keep using the product more and more. If they're launching new capabilities, they should be trying it, or at least they are aware of it, right? So there's a lot of customer journeys that are being defined in these enterprise and mid-market customers. Now, over the years, technology companies have done an amazing job in creating buyer's journey where they uh, meet the buyer when when they're thinking about getting a software, and then follow them all the way till the time they make the decision to buy your software, right? So those journeys in the sales and marketing are very well established. But what's not taken too much attention or focus is on customer journeys, right? How when the customer has signed up and been a customer for almost a year, 2 years, okay, how do we monitor and improve their experience, get them to use the product more, and so on and on. Because um, churn is the most painful. Like it hurts you more than the acquisition challenges, right? So since it's more important, and when you look at the large enterprises, churn could be, we're talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? And if you're able to chart their journey and be able to control that and be part of it, that's not saving. That's like huge revenue up for you. So this is how these large tech companies are thinking about it. Um, and when we work with them, you know, what we see is that now there's a little bit more focus on number one, the quality of the content, the relevance of the content, right?
The
And
contextual relevance.
contextual relevance, right? If I'm getting an email, it should talk about me, my challenges, right? I don't want to know what's happening in the finance industry because I am in, let's say, healthcare, right? My challenges are very different than finance. But if the message is about me and how my counterparts in the industry are using this, now that makes a lot of sense, right?
Mm. Interesting. And now thinking about like sticking on this onboarding piece, how big of a challenge you see, like even using PuppyDog, how people are using it differently, like high growth team really winning the onboarding piece and they have the greatest numbers onboarding to adoption. The goal, as you mentioned, is always about time to value. They want to deliver value the fastest. and the onboarding teams are turning into product marketing teams any day. And now a lot of these roles are, of course, accumulating sales success, revenue sales. There's so many things happening because companies are trying to do more with less on a high level. A lot of companies, funded companies, have board pressure. So much might be different reasons for different companies. But how do you see this role as a product marketing winning to of course, successfully onboard people and adopt people and increase the number of, mitigate the time to value part and increase the adoption rate at PuppyDog?
Yeah, so this role has been around for many, many years in enterprise, mid-market, larger, fast-growing companies. So this is not new. As I mentioned, we hired first product marketer around like 14 years back. What has changed now is that the product marketers have much more responsibility. In the past, they can depend on agencies. They can wait for 4 weeks to get one video, right? That's not the luxury they have today. Uh, the turnaround has to be super, super quick, super personalized, and so on. So that's the challenge, and that means that the product marketing team has to also adopt all these AI tools that are available at the expense. Just yesterday, we were at one of our customers, very large, over $1 billion in revenue, and they showed us this video that they created, and they said this, and it was a short 60-second video, nothing out of ordinary. And it took them like 4 to 6 weeks to get this done by an agency. Uh, and now with the AI tools, they are able to do this in less than like 3 days or 2 days. Uh, because AI can create the story, it can create the script, it can create all the visuals, it can follow all the brand guidelines, and it can auto review it. Um, so by the time it does all that and give you the first version, which could be probably like in like half an hour or less, now you have more time just to review it, run it by your compliance and all that stuff, and you're ready, and you can launch it, right? So that's the power of power marketing that's going to be now available to all these companies. And this is also good news for the buyers or the customers because you're not going to be struggling to figure out if there's
Yeah.
anything new that you need. You will find out because companies know what you need, and
Absolutely.
they will
And
make it
evaluation
happen.
is a big, and this evaluation time, a lot of these companies on the other side of the table, like they are spending huge amounts of time, like mid-sized enterprise companies, to evaluate tooling, to figure out like what tool works best. And, this helps that cycle too, to mitigate that time of tooling to evaluate. Let's say, for example, we were just looking for tool for documentation back in the days when we started with Notion. And, then Notion became collaborative, but it took us like a good like 1.5 months to, actually get like 6 or 7 team members on it. Now we're paying like around 150, $160 a month off of just documentation, but it does a lot of more things too. But again, the valuation part is still the big. So many tooling it creates a lot of noise too. That is what brings me to the next segment too. Like now, you talk about AI video creation. You talk about personalized videos, be it product videos or other videos. There's so many big players coming in the game as well. It's pretty noisy category too. So how as the founder you're coping up with the competition, positioning this? As you mentioned earlier, you're going more narrow than broad, but going narrow is good. But like 4 or 5 years down, how you're envisioning all of this, like how you seeing this category move?
Yeah, I think for us, we are building a platform. This is an end-to-end experience. So anything the product marketing teams would need, we plan to offer that into our platform. And the way we differentiate ourselves is we are not solving this one problem of how to create a video. We are taking an AI first approach and saying, okay, if AI is using the product, how would they use it and how would they create the videos, right? So basically, what it does is that now you can just point to the product, and because of our AI first approach, it will look at the product, it will look at your target customers, and it will start creating all the content that you need. and then start personalizing the content. So we see a future where little engagement from product marketers, they will be dependent a lot on AI to do all this for them. And what it also does is that because you're able to create the content so quickly, you can do a lot of A/B testing, right? So, and that has been historically a huge problem that you will
It
spend
is.
months to create something, a messaging, positioning, content, visuals, and it just doesn't connect with the buyers, right? And by the time you have to change it, you spend another 3 months. So with this, you can quickly run your A/B testing and say, okay, does this message connect or does that message connect? All right, and then scale from that point, right? So those are some of the capabilities that product marketers struggle today. But with an AI first platform, those will be native part of the offering.
Perfect.
So
Mhm.
what we believe is that as the product development speeds up with all these tools, we believe that product marketing will also be at the same pace. It's not there yet; it's far behind. But I think with tools like ours, we'll get there. We will empower the product marketing teams.
Right, right. Now, also thinking about from an AI first and AI native approach, a lot of these big players like a topic, they're trying every company to be, MCP first, and because a lot of these product marketers, at least my team, like I have as small as one person on the product marketing, they use like Claude, they build skills like copywriting, storytelling, product mark, it's so many skills that they actually navigate through the best messaging for email and outbound and everything. So for all these product marketers sitting in the LLMs in a chat interface, how do you think that it sits where they actually work, like within their workflow? Talking about PuppyDog.
Yeah. Well, it does remind me of the App Store when that was launched.
Mm.
And, at that point, Apple was creating all the apps. And it felt at some point that Apple would create all the apps. So what will everyone else do? So you may not remember, but when the App Store was launched, or even before that, the YouTube app was built by Apple. It was not a YouTube app. Similarly, the music app was very popular. So there was no, at that time, you could make an argument that there cannot be any other app, no Pandora, no Spotify, no YouTube music and stuff, right? But turns out that, as a provider, as a marketplace, as a foundational layer, there's much you can do, right? So you can make an argument that, hey, I can hire people who can use Claude and they can make the whole. That's great, but then you'll have to hire people to do that. You have to spend millions on that tokens. So in some cases, when the product is very straightforward, and we're talking about products that are, let's say, HR software, performance management software, which are very much databases, right? I can believe that they will be disrupted, right? When there's no
Okay.
creativity, right?
Hmm.
When it's all about putting the data in, getting the data out, some permission, some security and audit,
Hmm.
they will be wiped out. The CRMs of this world, they're going to have a very difficult time to stick around. But that also opens the opportunities for more interesting projects, more complex projects. So yeah, so I think it's no different than when the App Store was launched, right? It's just that the different type of challenges and
And
opportunities.
you're also thinking of building MCP first, like you can connect your LLM or you can connect your MD files into it, the marketing assets that you have in your LLM into PuppyDog, and from there you can take home.
Well, we have that capability, but in all practical terms, working with the enterprise customers, which is our focus, they are still very far behind in adopting
Oh.
that technologies,
Mhm,
right? Uh,
mhm.
in order to get for them to approve to talk to a server, that's another couple of months and then they have to
Mhm.
allocate resources. So
Mhm.
they're a little behind in that adoption. Uh, and once they get there, we will be there. But at this
Mhm.
time, it's about, they have a real problems with
Mhm.
customer acquisition, with adoption, customer engagement, growth, upsell, cross-sell, and we're making them available all the tools that they need to make it easier for them.
Yeah. So probably I've been following your journey for quite some time, and it's like so many years ever since I got into SaaS back in 2016, 17. But a lot of these people, they would like to also know, like, what kind of technology that you are most interested in as an investor. Of course, as a consultant, advisor slash investor, angel. What kind of those technologies or categories that you can mention that you think that are going to be growing super fast and at this time? Of course, it's so hard to predict too because you never know what's going to happen next with these LLMs and capabilities and what it
Mm.
can disrupt and open all of a sudden. But just from your viewpoint, sitting in the technology and of course the tech capital of the world, how do you see it for me, for all the founders listening?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult time to be an investor. Um, I'll tell you, over like half of the investors that I spoke with in last 2, 3 years, there are no more VCs. They have moved on to other jobs because it's just incredibly difficult to now find a good startup in this mix of thousands of startups. So in the past, the criteria was very simple. You look at how big is the problem, you look at how good is the solution, and you look at the team and say they have done this before, they can do it a second time. That was the criteria, but that criteria doesn't apply anymore, right? Anyone can copy your idea or a problem. Anyone can build a solution. And there are thousands of people who are second time, third time founders. But we have seen that young kids from the college are doing much better in some cases than these seasoned entrepreneurs, right? So I think the opportunity is on the distribution. So when you look at a startup, you're looking at how soon they can acquire their customers, what's their go-to market, have they signed any channel partners, uh, have they done a lot of marketing, do they know how to bring the customers to the website, right, and all that stuff. So that's one very important criteria. And for me personally, when I invest as an angel, I actually just look at the founder and see, what's the passion, you know, how much he's willing to uh, give for this startup, right? What compromises he has made. Has he quit his job? He's doing full time, burn all his bridges, and on and on and on. So for me, that's more important than the problem itself because we cannot be an expert of every problem, right? We can only see the problem through the lens of the founder.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I love the way that you, and this has always been the golden rule, like betting on people. I just spoke to one of the VCs at Y Combinator when I started, and they said the same thing, like, hey, if we think and if we see through a founder that is compassionate and hungry enough, and of course, mad, widely interested about solving this problem, the rest of everything gets like secondary. Like it's of course technology, addressable market. That's fine, but there's people that have the wild hunger. They actually make things possible. Even a lot of them they pivot like 3 months down, 4 months down.
Right.
Perfect. Perfect. Anything that you think that makes you excited this time, like looking at PuppyDog and a lot of investments that you've done? Just read some. Adams, I know good. I bought some products when I was in New York last year. Uh, a Red Wagon, Casper, I'm familiar with those two. How did those experiences, panned out for you? Like not in terms of numbers, but just an experience, like the impact that they're creating, plus what makes you excited on top of this. You're midway 2026, but going forward, a lot of people are now tracking on months and quarters than years because so much is changing so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, when you invest in such an early stage, you have to understand what you're getting into. Um, that necessarily not a financial return, right? That the possibility of that is low at this stage, right? If you are the first 10 people to write the check. So for me personally, I have few motivations why I invest. Number one, I talk or meet with with the founder, and I like their passion, and I just want to support them, right? So for me, that's really important. Number two is that, I learn a lot from them, how they're building, how they're going to the market, what tools they're using, what their marketing strategies are. So that learning that you get the inside access to them, you only get it when you are part of the team in advisory or investor and whatnot. So as much as they're thinking that they're learning from me or all that stuff, I am learning a lot more from them. Right. So that's the second thing. Number one is that, it's no financial return. Number two, that, I learn from them and their experiences. Um, and number three is, you know, um, when you see these companies grow and become successful, right? That's a feeling that you have of, some satisfaction, that you were part of their journey from the very, very beginning. And for me, that's not only true for the investor in companies that I invested in, but dozens of other companies that I've advised. And I just watched behind, sitting back in the room, seeing their success, watching them raise funding and funding and funding, and for me, that's a lot of satisfaction that, their success feels like my success to me, right? So those are the reasons I invest in startups at such early stage, and I advise everyone to do that. Uh, because you can invest in stocks and all that stuff. That's great, but that doesn't build the community. That doesn't
Yeah,
have any
and
impact. It just builds your wealth.
absolutely. Yeah, and the fulfillment level is not that like, you invest in Apple or Tesla, like, you don't feel like core part of it, and it's not like so personal to you. I love that. I love the fulfillment part. Great, perfect. So, Fahad Bhai, it was really very nice meeting you. I was so looking forward to this conversation, and I'm so glad that we made it genuinely concrete and spontaneous. And that's how always I got the best knowledge from people on the other side. And the core reason of starting this and investing so much of my time and everything is to learn from people experiences, because I believe I don't get to live long enough to have them all myself. So it's always great to have people that know and better than you and have been there longer than you. So thank you very much for being such a great contributor and such a great supporter.
No, thank you so much for hosting this. It was great talking to you, and keep up the good work. That's a great exercise that you do.
Thank you very much again for that.
Thank you. Take care.